What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. I wanted to bring you guys a Pittsburgh Steelers free agency video since we are all, approaching the new league year. The free agency period starts on March 17th, which, as I'm recording this, is about probably 10 days away. So I just wanted to bring you guys kind of a couple things with Pittsburgh free agency. Number one, I want to go over all the Steelers' current free agents coming into this offseason. And I wanted to kind of tell you guys who I think is going to be gone and who they should re-sign, kind of who I'd bring back and who I'd let go based on the money and assets we have. And also kind of some cheap free agents we could sign to try and bridge the gap and fill in some holes we have on our team. Now, I'm not going to cover the draft in this video. That's going to be a video for the following week. The week after I put this one out, I'll do a draft video as well on some things I think we should draft. But I was looking at some possible free agents here that we could sign to have kind of a good team makeup heading into next year. We've already started to make some moves. Pittsburgh has, I think, the fifth highest hit against the cap number out of any team this offseason. We don't have much cap room. We're way behind the cap, so we're trying to do some restructuring things. We've already seen Maurkice Pouncey has retired, Vance McDonald has retired, and Big Ben has restructured. He's taking $4 million less to play this season, and he's also spreading out his remaining money amongst a bunch of extra years that were added to the back end of the contract to stretch out the cash payments to Big Ben. So he took a nice restructuring deal to save us some money. I think he's saving us like $7 million. Also, like I said, Pouncey and McDonald are gone, so that'll save us some money. But we don't have much money to play with, which means we're going to have to lose some guys we don't want to lose. We're going to lose more guys than we gain back, basically, in terms of the big name free agents we have. We have a lot of free agents here. And we're also not going to be able to sign a whole bunch of big-name guys to bring back in to replace those guys. We're going to be signing veteran minimum guys, some guys that are going to take some pay cuts to play here, stuff like that. One of the things I wanted to address at corner, we're going to see a few guys probably restructure, I'm betting. I think Joe Hayden's one of those guys. Hayden's still under contract, but I can see him restructuring and taking a bit of a pay cut so we can bring more help in around him. We have a small window. Our defense right now is elite, and we have Big Ben back for one more season before we have to find the quarterback of the future. More on that later. So we're at a small window right now, and depending on how we draft this offseason and next offseason for quarterback, we could be in a bit of a rebuilding phase. Now, with this defense, we're always going to be somewhat of a contender in the AFC, but again, the window is small, so it's important that we get a good roster coming into next season. The biggest free agent on my list that I have compiled here is Bud Dupree. Obviously, he was franchised last year, had a huge year the year before in 2019, had a great half a season this year, and then went and got hurt, was hurt for the rest of the year. Bud Dupree is gone. Bud Dupree is not going to get retained. He's going to get a big money contract somewhere. He's going to get a max deal somewhere at edge rusher. Pittsburgh can't afford him. He's going to have to go. We drafted Alex Highsmith for this reason last year. He came in for the second half of the season, playing for Bud Dupree, and played very, very well. I'm confident with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith being the starters on the outside, so I'm cool with letting Dupree go. As sad as I am to see him go, I don't want to see him go, but he's going to ask for too much money. We can't afford him. So Bud Dupree's gone. Mike Hilton, same thing. Mike Hilton's our second biggest free agent. Again, you don't want to lose this guy. Mike Hilton is one of the better slot corners in the NFL. I think he's the best blitzing slot corner in the NFL. He gets a lot of tackles in the backfield on running backs. He comes off the edge and gets a lot of sacks. He creates turnovers. I like him a lot. But we already have another guy who does similar things to Hilton who can play for us in the slot. I'll get to him later. We have two slot corners who are both free agents, and we kind of have to pick one. And Mike Hilton is going to garner a lot more attention, a lot more money. Mike Hilton's going to go for a bigger contract that we can't afford. We can afford the other guy, and that's where I'll go. But I would feel pretty comfortable heading into next season, having a restructured Hayden on one side, Steven Nelson on the other side, and then Cam Sutton, we'll get into that, in the middle. Actually, I'll cover Cam Sutton right now. So Sutton and Hilton are kind of two sides of the different coin. If they could combine their skills, they'd be the perfect slot corner. Cam Sutton is the more physical corner in the slot. He's the better coverage guy in the slot, and he can play inside and outside. So to have a guy who's a better coverage guy who can play outside corner or inside corner, he filled in nicely this year when Nelson or Hayden were hurt to play on the outside. Plus, he's better overall in coverage than Hilton is on the inside. And he's going to come at a much cheaper price. He's been here longer, I think, for the Steelers, and he's not going to garner as much money as Hilton will. So I think Sutton at a cheaper option, having more diversity playing on the outside and the inside and being better coverage, I think he's the better value pick. I would re-sign Sutton and let Hilton go. Yes, you're going to lose some energy in Hilton. You're going to lose some turnovers. You're going to lose some edge blitzing especially. But we can plug other guys in to do that. Guys like Terrell Edmonds can do that. Sutton can do that to an extent. You have other guys that can do the blitzing, and you have other guys that create turnovers. Sutton is a ball hawk. Sutton's physical. Sutton's going to have a much better price. So I re-sign Sutton, and I let Hilton go. Alejandro Villanueva, he's one of our biggest priced free agents. I let him go as well. He did not have a very good year last year. 2 years ago, he didn't have a very good year. Last year was not his best year. He's aging. He didn't play well last year, and he's going to garner a lot of money from somewhere else. I wouldn't pay him to come back. We have other free agents on the offensive line. We have a lot of needs on the offensive line. We'll cover those. But I would let Villanueva go, simply for the fact that his play is regressing, and his contract is going to be, I think, fairly high somewhere else. So I wouldn't retain him. So right away, you've got your 3 highest priced free agents gone. So that's going to save us a lot of money to go out and get guys elsewhere and to draft guys. So I'd let Villanueva go. Avery Williamson, I would re-sign him if we can get him for a decent price. We signed him in the middle of last season once Bud Dupree got hurt to play inside. Robert Spillane wound up being really solid. I'll cover Spillane here as well because Spillane is also a free agent. Spillane came in out of nowhere last year. He got signed from the practice squad at the end of the 2019 season. Came in as a starter last year when Bud Dupree went down. Got a pick 6 against Baltimore. Played really well as a starter, and then he went down and got hurt. So then Avery Williamson, who we traded for from the Jets last year, came in. Played really well. I think he was our leading tackler in all the games that he started for us. He played very well. Good tackler, good form, decent in coverage, solid blitzer. Made a lot of plays out there. So if we can have both Spillane and Williamson as our backups this year, playing alongside Vince Williams and a returning Devin Bush, I feel very good with that. Having our 2 starters last year be our 2 bench guys behind Williams and Bush. Williams is back off COVID. Bush is back off injury. Those 4 guys at inside, I feel like we have 4 capable starters there. I would like that a lot. Spillane's not going to garner much attention. Even though he played well, he's a Pittsburgh guy. He's going to get a small contract. I think we can re-sign him easily. Williamson might be a little harder. He was kind of a bigger name in New York. Played well here as starter, so he might get some more attention. I would try and re-sign him because he very well could be the starter for us. I think he's a better overall player than Vince Williams is, even though I love Vince Williams. But Vince Williams could be a cap casualty. He's going to garner some attention, and he gets paid a decent amount of money. So it's going to be hard unless we can restructure Vince because he loves Pittsburgh to stay here. So I could see Williamson being the starter with Bush next season. So I would try to re-sign Williamson and Spillane at decent prices. Spillane should be easy to get. Williamson might be a little tougher. I would like to get both. Matt Filer and Zach Banner, 2 more offensive line guys that are both free agents. Again, you can't let all these guys go. I would like to get both Filer and Banner back. I think Filer's going to command some attention in free agency that we can't afford. So it's tough because I'm already getting rid of Villanueva, and we've already lost Pouncey. So we're already down 2 starters. To lose Filer would be tough, but I think we're not going to be able to afford him. I would re-sign Zach Banner. He wouldn't come at a high price, and he can play either guard or tackle for us. So he's a diverse guy. He can play on 2 sides of the line. I would re-sign Banner. I would try and get Filer back. If we can get Filer on a solid price, I would get him back as well because you need starters. Our offensive line is getting decimated. It did not have a good year last year, and we have a lot of free agents now on the line, so it's going to be tough. We're going to have to draft at least 2, if not 3, in the draft. I would draft a center and an offensive guard in the draft. We'll get into the draft stuff on a future video. But again, I would re-sign Zach Banner, and I would try and get Filer, but I don't think we're going to be able to. I think he's going to be gone. We already discussed Cam Sutton. Tyson Olualu. I love Tyson Olualu, man. He came in from Jacksonville. He got drafted really high, didn't play very well in Jacksonville. Bad system for him. Man, he's been a gem for the Steelers, man. He's like, we saw a difference when he got hurt 2 years ago. He came back last year and had a big season. He's been a VIP for this team. I love what Olualu does. The pressure in the run game, good tackler, bats a lot of balls. I just love what he does, man. I hope we can re-sign him. He's probably going to get some attention, but I'd make him our biggest money re-signing, because even though he's aging, his play is really, really good. And when he's out of the system, you see a difference there. I like Olualu, and we're going to have to address getting younger on the interior defensive line, because I love Cameron Hayward, Tyson, Olualu, and Stephon Tuitt, but they're all getting older and they've all got some injury issues in different times. So we're going to have to get younger there at some point. But I would re-sign Olualu as our biggest money free agent. Second biggest money free agent, because we got another one coming up here. But Cassius Marsh, he is a defensive end. He won't come at a very expensive price. If you got to let him go, he's not going to be a huge loss. He didn't play much, but he did. I think he started one game last year and he played in relief in 2 other games. He played okay. He had a couple tackles, didn't play bad. I'd bring him back if you can. He plays special teams as well. So if you can get him for the minimum price, bring him back. He'd be a nice depth piece for us who can fill in spots. But if you have to lose him, it's not a big loss for us. Juju Smith-Schuster, one of our biggest priorities. He's the guy that I would try and throw the most money at. The money we have remaining to throw at guys, which is not much, I would try and re-sign Juju. I could see him going to get a big deal somewhere else. But I know that he loves Pittsburgh. He likes being here. We have not really fully seen the fullest of his potential since Antonio Brown's been gone. But this one is the most controversial. There's the most possibility surrounding Juju. Is he worth a number 1 receiver contract? I don't think so. Is he a number 1 receiver? I don't think so. He was a very, very good number 2/1B when Antonio Brown was here. Since Brown's been gone, Juju has not played up to his full potential. When he was playing for quarterbacks other than Ben, when Ben got hurt, didn't do much of anything. Last year in the short receiving game, he shows he's valuable. He breaks a lot of tackles. He runs solid routes. He has probably the best hands of all the receivers on this team. But it's inconsistent, and God forbid if Ben gets hurt or if there's nobody on the other side of him to show out, he doesn't look quite as good. So he commands some money. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He likes it here. I love him. I love his toughness. He has a Hines Ward toughness to me that I like. But the talent and the money he commands might not match up with us bringing him back. So I would like to have him because I think the quadrilateral system, I like him with Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and James Washington. I like all 4 of those guys. But I could also see us getting by with the other 3 without Juju. I think having Deontay, Washington, and Claypool is enough for us with Ebron. So we don't need Juju necessarily, but I would like to have him back. So if you can sign him, sign him. If not, don't pay him wide receiver 1 money, because I don't think he's worth that. So it's a tough side of the coin. I'm going to say he comes back. I hope we get him back, but it's the most up in the air, I think, out of all the free agents we have. Then we have James Conner. This is our biggest casualty. I'd let him go. I don't think he's a starting running back. Again, I love James Conner as a person. I love his story. I love his hometown ties. I like his toughness when he's out there. He has the most potential out of the four running backs on our current roster, but he's not a starting running back. We have a lot of running game issues. His durability is a huge issue. He has not played an entire season since we've been here. He has not shown us any RB1 skills since the year that Le'Veon Bell sat out. That was his best year. Then after that, once the league caught up to him, he hasn't done much. Our offensive line hasn't helped him out at all. The play calling hasn't helped him out at all. I know he's got a higher ceiling somewhere else. I think with better play calling and a better line, Conner can still do some stuff. But he hasn't really produced here since the year that he filled in for Bell, and he's going to command some money. And he's got durability issues. We've tried it out for 4 years. It hasn't really worked. I would let Conner go. Then we have Chris Wormley, finally. Chris Wormley, we traded for from the Ravens a few years back. He's another guy, kind of just like a Cassius Marsh kind of a thing. If you can get him back at a cheap price, he's a good fill-in for us. He's got a high ceiling. We have not seen his full potential yet. But if we have to lose him, it's not going to be a huge loss. I would try and sign him back for a good deal. Now to look at some free agents, we can sign. The 2 positions I would mainly look at would be running back and tight end. This video is kind of getting long, so I'm going to kind of go quickly here. Number 1, offensive line. B.J. Finney was just cut by the Bengals. I think he can come back to Pittsburgh. I see him coming back here on a veteran minimum. We can sign him back for the smallest price. He can play both guard and center. We need upgrades at both. So he'd be a nice fill-in piece at a 2-position guy that has played here before in Pittsburgh and played decently well. So bring back B.J. Finney at a small price. That fills in a depth piece on 2 pieces of your line that you need. Now looking at running back and tight end, I would be looking to draft one of the top 3 running backs in this draft coming up. If you can get one of the ones in round 2, then I would go for that. If not, I would not draft a running back. But you do need another piece because we're gonna cut Connor and we're probably gonna cut Jalen Samuel. So all we're gonna have on the roster, in my opinion, coming into this season is Benny Snell and McFarland. I would, if you can't draft one of the top 3 running backs in this draft, I would sign a veteran minimum running back who's got something left in the tank, who can be a bruiser, who can be your 1A, 1B lead running back. And some of the names I was looking at, Mark Ingram from Baltimore, he's a good hard runner. He's still got some tread on the tires left. He's good for a 1 to 2 year deal at a minimum price. I think he'd be a good fit for us. Matt Breida, I think, looked really good in San Fran. Never got to really show out in Miami. I think he is a younger back who's got some left in him. I could see him being the number 1 back for us. I like Breida's pass catching. I like the way he runs. He didn't get to show us much on his last team, but I like him. Leonard Fournette, I wanted to sign him last year in free agency or trade for him. We didn't for some reason. He looked really good in that playoff run for Tampa. I think they're going to re-sign him, but if he's out there, I think he would like Pittsburgh. He fits our style. He's got 1 to 2 good years left in him, and he can fill in our system really nicely as a 1A, 1B kind of back. Adrian Peterson, I think he's got 1 more good year left in him. If you can sign him, we're a good team that's contending for a title. I think he's going to want that. Sign him to a minimum deal for 1 year. Peterson is ageless. He always finds a way to break those long runs, even at this age. I like Peterson. I wouldn't mind seeing him here. Marlon Mack has been high on everyone's list, and I love Marlon Mack's tape. He was great in 2019, and then he got hurt in 2020. He was the Colts starting back, and he was going to be their franchise guy until he got hurt, and they drafted Jonathan Williams in the draft. So Marlon Mack can be our number 1 guy. He can be our lead back. It's just, is he going to ask for too much money, and is he fully healthy from the injury? So if those questions can get answered, I love him here in Pittsburgh as long as he can come for a decent price. And then finally, Jamal Williams from Green Bay. Everyone's looking at Aaron Jones as a number 1 guy for us. People want Pittsburgh to sign him. I don't think it's possible. I think Green Bay is going to either bring him back or I think he's going to ask for a lot of money. He's in my opinion, he's probably the number 1 running back on the free agent list as far as money contracts go. Pittsburgh can't afford Aaron Williams. If they could, I would love to see him here. I loved his 2019 tape. I think he's a great goal line guy. I think we need a conversion guy and a red zone guy. Our numbers have been very low in the last few years, and Aaron Jones is that. He also catches the ball well out of the backfield, and he's a hard runner. I like Aaron Jones a lot, but I don't see us being able to afford him. I could see us being able to afford Jamal Williams, who also can catch the ball out of the backfield, is also a good conversion guy and runs very hard, even breaks more tackles, in my opinion, than Aaron Jones. So I like Jamal Williams for us here. If we can bring any one of these guys in, they can be our number 1 back or a 1A, 1B kind of thing with Snell. Having McFarland come in as a change of pace back, I like any of these guys at a cheap price for us to fill a nice spot in that running back room. Tight end wise, same thing. If we can draft one of the top tight ends in this draft in like the 2nd to 3rd round, maybe you go for it. But Pittsburgh needs a backup tight end behind Ebron. Ebron's our only guy right now, and he has a drop issue thing too. So I would try to sign a veteran guy to a small contract to fill in nicely until we can draft someone to be the future for us. Jesse James is tops on my list. We never should have let him go. I like the guy. He's a hometown guy. Detroit never used him. They're going to wind up cutting him. He never got used there. He's a little slow. He's not the best blocker, but he's a decent blocker, and he's a solid pass catcher. I've always liked him here. I think he'd be a great tight end B for us. He knows the system. He's been here for years. He was a good tight end 1 and 2 when he was here for us, so I like him for a minimum price. O.J. Howard's another guy. He's leaving Tampa. They have 2 other tight ends they use there. So I like O.J. Howard. He's got some injury issues. He's kind of getting up there in age, but I like his hands and I like his goal line presence. He's a big physical guy. Jared Cook has been talked about a lot for Pittsburgh. I put him a little lower on this list because I think he's going to ask for some more money, but he's been around for a long time. He's got really good hands. He's another goal line target guy. I think he's actually a better overall tight end than Ebron even. I'm a huge fan of Jared Cook. I like what he did last year. So if we can get him for a decent price, I'd bring him in. And finally, Jacob Hollister. He was the tight end 1/2 on Seattle last year. He's not super athletic, but he's another guy that can catch. He can convert on 3rd downs. Got a few touchdowns with Russell Wilson. A guy like Ben can extend the play, and Hollister can get open. So if we can sign one of those guys as a low-end tight end too, I think they could be a nice fill-in for us as well. So again, that is a breakdown of all of our free agents, who should stay and who should go, and some free agents that we could look to sign on the offensive line, tight ends, and running backs. Of the names that I said, who do you think we should sign? Is there anybody that I missed in those positions that you think we could bring in to make the team better at a decent price? And out of my guys that I would keep and cut, who would you change? Who would you keep and cut? What do you think of guys like Connor, Dupree, Hilton, Juju? Tell me in the comments below, and I will see you guys in about a week or so with my NFL draft projections and who I think we should look at drafting. So like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week.